What we need to do now is isolate these icons so we can create a graphic and use them within our CSS so we can get them into our HTML document. Before we do that, though, I just want to point out that the F2FW framework has that ICO property defined a second time that has a background property. So here we have a.ico, which we're using and referencing. We're establishing the background property has a URL that points to an image called ico.png, which happens to be inside the images directory, which is one level above where we currently are, which is the exact same structure that we have. Of course, we don't have the ico.png file, so we need to create it, and we're going to create it using the Twitter and Facebook icons. So let's jump back into Photoshop so we can create these files. You'll notice that the active or inactive icon has an opacity set to 40%. You'll notice I'm inside the top layer group here. Inside the top layer group is another layer group called C22. Inside that layer group, there's the Twitter icon, which is active, which has an opacity set to 100%. And then there's the Facebook inactive icon, which has an opacity of 40%. Remember, we can create these opacity effects using CSS, so we're going to go ahead and set this opacity to 100%. And what we want to do is copy these icons. There's a couple different ways that you can do it. One way that I want to do it is just to create a new document and then copy and paste these icons into that new document. So I'm going to come up to the File menu, and under the File menu, I'm going to choose New. And what we want to do is we want to create a document that has a height of 16 pixels and a width that is 32 pixels. Remember, these icons are 16 by 16 pixels. Now, I know that. If you didn't know that, you could choose the marquee tool and kind of measure it out. But in this case, we don't have to because, like I said, I know the dimensions. Additionally, we want the resolution to be 72 pixels per inch. So we want the width to be double of the width of the icon. So we're going to set that to 32. So 32 by 16. Go ahead and click OK. Here's the new document. Excellent. Come back to monoplate.psd. What we want to do is make sure that the Facebook layer is the active layer, and you want to select all. Control A or Command A on the Macintosh, and then you want to copy it. Command C or Control C on Windows. Then come over to the untitled document and paste. Control V on Windows, Command V on the Mac. And you want to make sure that it's all the way over to the left. So you want to highlight the Move tool and just use the arrow keys to nudge it over. And you want to nudge it all the way over so it hits the left edge. So that's for the Facebook icon. Let's come back to Monoplate and highlight the Twitter layer. With the Twitter layer selected, go ahead and copy the active selection, Control C or Command C on the Mac. Come back to the untitled document and paste, Control V or Command V on the Mac. And then you want to move it all the way over to the right. So here's our two icons. They're right next to one another. You can zoom in just to ensure that they're positioned properly, and it looks like they are. So we want to save this out as ico.png inside of the images folder. So let's come up to the File menu. We can choose Save for Web if you want, so we can take a look at what the optimized version will look like. I'm going to go ahead and increase the number of colors to 32. I think that's being reproduced a little bit more accurately. Go ahead and click Save. When you click Save, it should place you into the appropriate directory, which is the Images folder, which is inside of the Includes directory, which is inside of the Blank folder, which is inside the PSD to HTML folder that you downloaded from the site. So again, we want to save this as ico.png. Go ahead and save it. I'll make sure that that extension is right. Go ahead and save it, and you're good to go now. What we're going to do in the next movie is we're going to use CSS to position and place these icons into the top section of the HTML document.